Hello everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews today. Let's take a walk and go see what's in the fridge today. Hello everybody, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews today. It's a hot one out there. It got up to almost 90. I think the last time I looked it was about 87, 88 degrees. So pretty warm here for the end of April, the 1st of May, and that's a lot what happens here in Virginia. We go from 20s and 30s to the 70s and 80s and almost 90s. We don't have any spring and fall. It's just a drastic swing from winter to summer and summer back to winter without a lot of fall and spring in there. So a little too warm for the fat boy here this time of year already. I'd like to get some of those 70s and low 80s before we get almost into the 90s. Alright guys, I was out there trying to work on the hot plants a little earlier, and after about 30 minutes it was too hot for me. I had to come back in the house. So while I was in the house, figured it's time to pop a cap on one of these good brews from Three Floyds. And this one is Three Floyds Man O All, AWE. And it's got a rather menacing figure on the front of it, very cartoonish like. With tusks sticking out of his head and out of his mouth, fangs, and very colorful label here on there. This is an American Pale Ale, guys, and this was sent to me by Rich and Randy. They sent me a big box of Three Floyds beers, and guys, thanks again. I do appreciate it. Both of y'all are number one on the books for sending beers. You and Parrish and several of the other guys, Joey and Nate, have been sending me a lot of beers here lately, and I do appreciate it, guys. I really, really do. And I asked somebody, I did a bomber the other day and it didn't have a date on it. So they just recently started doing that, maybe at the end of the year or first of this year, putting dates on everything. I know they're doing the dating on the 12, and I said I've had several of them with the dates on them. But the bomber that I had the other day, it didn't have the date on it. And I asked, and they said, yeah, they're dating it. And somebody told me they had a bottle of this with a date on it. And I went and looked at this one, and by golly, it's got a date on it too. So their newer bombers have the dates on them, and if you've got a bomber that doesn't have a date on it, it's probably right before they started doing it, because I think I got another one in there that doesn't have the date on it. Yeah, it was the Alpha Claus that didn't have the date on it. But this one does, and this one says 03/07/14. So this was put in the bottle about the first week of March, so it still should be rather tasty. Let's look at the commercial description on this one. It says, this pale ale, as its namesake, will inspire all. Brewed exclusively with hops grown in Michigan, pay homage to the Man O All. With this beer, lest you meet him in person. So I hope I never meet this guy on this bottle. He looks pretty ferocious. Over to the food pairings for this one. Cuisine is your Pan-Asian, and these are just suggestions, guys, and I keep telling y'all that. And a lot of subs say, why do you even bother saying it? You just repeat the same thing over. I'm just chucking this information out, guys, and if you don't want to listen to this, you can fast forward to the review. The food pairing is Pan-Asian. Cheeses are earthy, Camembert Fontina, your nutty cheeses, Asiago Colby, Parmesan, your tangy cheeses, Brick Adam and Feta. And the meat for this is poultry, but like I tell you guys, those are just suggestions. The pale ale goes with just about anything. I mean, it's more subdued than your IPAs. It's not going to have quite the bitterness normally that those guys do. And if you're not a seasoned IPA drinker, you may find them a little too bitter for your palate. So this one should be a little easier to drink. It doesn't have the IBUs listed here, but I would think it would be down in the 40s and 50s, and not up in the 70s and 80s or up to 100s like the IPAs can be. So glassware is a pint, Becker, the non-empty tumbler, the mug, the stein, the side ale. I got the pint glass today, and it's not recommended for extended cellarings. This is a fairly low ABV, coming in at 6% now, guys. So you wouldn't want to cellar this. they want you to have this fairly fresh, and I agree with that. Once you get up into your 7, 8, 9%ers and different styles, the wee heavies and your stouts and some of your porters and some of those bigger beers will sell just fine because they're not hop forward. But if I know 3 Floyds, this is going to have a nice hop profile. So let's get the cap off of this one and see what it's about. Nice hiss, a little bit of smoke out of the bottle. This is a bomber, 22 ouncer. Enough to share. Alright guys, I didn't pour a full glass. Like I said, I'm going to let the other half have the other half of this bottle. Over into the light, it is fairly clear. I mean, a lot of bubbles streaming up. It is a rich amber, a deep amber almost. Definitely not a golden macro lager color. Easy for me to say. I haven't even had a beer yet today. A good head on this one, about a finger of head. It poured on that aggressive pour. And like I said, I didn't fill the glass up because I'm going to share some of this. And it looks pretty good in the glass. Let's get a nose on it. Oh yeah, it has a very nice hop profile. So that's another reason you wouldn't want to settle this beer too long, because it will lose that. I mean, it'll get more malty as time goes on. I'm getting a lot of citrusy notes in there. Maybe some orange peel or tangerine or even a lemon peel. Very citrusy. Got a nice floral bouquet in there. And there is a nice malt presence in there too. I'm getting a nice rich malt on the nose. But the citrusiness aspect of it is what I'm getting. I'm not getting any bitterness. I'm not getting any alcohol on the nose. So let's give it a taste. It's been too hot out here for me today, guys. I don't like it when it gets up to 90 degrees already. Cheers. Cheers, Rich and Randy. Thank you, sirs. Very citrusy in the taste too. A nice floral hop presence. A little more subdued than I really expected this one to be, because they are known for doing some awesome hoppy beers. But it's really balanced. I mean, the hop profile is not overwhelming the malt, and the malt is not overwhelming the hops. It's a really balanced, easy drinking session beer for 6%. Very thirst quenching, and that's what I need right now. I could probably chug this. A little more subdued, like I said, that I'm typically used to from the three Floyds beers that I've had so far. So, a very easy drinking, sessionable American Pale Ale. Oh yeah. I don't find anything off-putting about this beer. Of course, I'm a hop head, so it wouldn't hurt my feelings if it had been a little more hoppier, but it is what it is. Nice representation of the style as far as I'm concerned. Especially if you're not into IPAs and you don't like that big pungent hop profile in your pale ales. This would be a good one. So let's let it warm up a hair and let the other half the other half of this bottle, and I'll come back and do the final chug and grade on this one. Seems to be an A beer. Let's see where it ends up. Alright guys, I'm back. Got just a little left. Awesome lacing this beer is leaving on the glass. Usually tells you it's made with some really good quality ingredients. Very easy drinking, very sessionable. May even consider this a lawnmower beer, if you will. Something very easy drinking, like I said, on a very warm day. Now it's supposed to cool back down and be sort of cloudy and rainy most of this week, so that'll be a nice change for the temperatures to come back down into the 60s. I wouldn't mind some 60s and 70s before we go from the 30s to the 90s. So it's a drastic change when you go from one season and that drastic temperature change from one to the other. But this is a good beer. It really is. It's definitely an A beer as far as I'm concerned. Don't think it's quite to the 10 scale, but very refreshing, very easy drinking, a very good session beer, or a nice beer for the size of this bomber to share with somebody on a nice hot day. like I said, it's about 86, 87 degrees out there right now. So let's do the final chug. A nice balance between the citrusy hops in this one, which were grown in Michigan, and the malt that's in this beer. And it doesn't tell me what they use as far as hops, and it doesn't tell me what they use as far as malts. A lot of your craft beer breweries don't want to give that information out. They kind of want to keep that kind of stuff secret. So you can't blame them a lot of times. You don't want anybody trying to replicate and produce a beer and sell it for the, you know, for the same beer you're producing. So they don't like to give that information out a lot of times, and a lot of them do. They don't care. You know, they're not as skittish, if you will, as some of the others are. So it is what it is, and I appreciate the beers that Three Floyds does. It's just disappointing to me that I can't get them here in Virginia, and I have to have somebody like Rich and Randy send them to me. But anyway, that's the way it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the world we live in. As craft beer goes. So maybe one day they'll get big enough for it. And I just heard they were expanding, going to start producing some kind of whiskey or something. So I just wish they'd make more beer and send it out further. So guys, as far as I'm concerned, this is an A beer. It's got a date on the bottle. I was torn between an 8 and a 9. I believe I'm going to go ahead and give it the 8 since I'm a hophead, and it's not quite hoppy enough for me, but it is a great beer for what it is. An American pale ale. A very good transitional beer if you're wanting to get into something with a little more taste and you're into the macro lager drinkers. This one probably doesn't have enough hops to run you away or scare you off or be too bitter for your palate. So a great lawnmower beer as far as I'm concerned. A great first beer of the day. The other half liked it a lot too. She said it was very tasty. It was her, of course, first beer of the day too, and she's been out tanning in the sun, so she's a little on the overheated side. And she said, of course, she poured hers into a chill glass, where when I do the reviews, guys, I don't do that, so we don't have all that on there. But anyway, back to this beer. I'm going to give it the 8, which is the A- on the scale today, guys. Let's go see what everybody else thinks. We'll run over to Beer Advocate first, and Beer Advocate says 85, which is in a very good range. Number is a tad low as far as I'm concerned, but I would not argue with it. A lot of the people that review beers are craft beer drinkers, and when they drink something like this, it doesn't really blow their hair back or their socks off, if you will, as I say a lot. And they don't give it those good marks. I'm grading it for what it is, which is an American Pale Ale, and it's a very tasty American Pale Ale. So that's why I'm giving it the A grade, well, actually the A- grade, but the 85, well, I would consider that a B beer, not even a B+ beer as far as that grade. And I think it's a well-made beer and a good quality beer and a great session ale as far as I'm concerned. So over to Rate Beer. Rate Beer says 94 overall and 96 in the style. Great numbers from those guys over there. So, and they tend to be more realistic as far as I'm concerned in the grades that they give. Unlike Beer Advocate, they're a little more conservative to me as far as their grading and what they give the beers. So, guys, that's the grades that everybody's giving it, and you know the grade I give it, which is 8 to A-. If you've had this one from Three Floyds, the Man O' All, give me some comments back on this and whether you liked it or didn't like it. And as always, hit that like button while we're liking everything. Rate, comment, subscribe, and we got us another A beer today. Let's see if we can dig another one out tomorrow. See you then.